heard about racial profiling? Yes, okay, a lot of you. And that's not surprising since it occurs so often in the US. Just like an incident of Trayvon Martin, where a 17-year-old African-American was shot and killed in 2012 Sanford, Florida by a neighborhood watch named George Zimmerman in the community where Trayvon Martin's dad was living at the time. And during the time that Trayvon Martin was shot, he was only carrying a can of Arizona tea and a bag of Skittles. And in 2016, police officers killed African Americans at a rate of 6.66 per million compared to 2.9 per million white people. Racial profiling occurs at an alarming rate in the US and results in the loss of lives of colored people. And change starts with us in how we view other racial groups, and ending racial profiling will reduce the rates of biased police pullovers and reduce the death rates of people of color. I will first talk about the problems that occur with racial profiling, the solutions we can make, and what the outcomes will be. I'll first talk about the problems occurring with racial profiling. So according to Lyle Race, Gender, and Class 2016, African Americans represent 31% of all police shooting victims, even though they only represent 13% of the US population. And according to the Wilson Quarterly 2012, in New York City, police officers stopped nearly 700,000 people, 84% of those people being Black or Latino, and only 12% of those stops resulted in arrests. And now that I have talked about the problems that are occurring with racial profiling, I will discuss the solutions. According to Muchetti, Harvard Latino Law Review 2005, he proposes implementing a nationwide data collection program that will gather information from federal, state, and local law enforcement, and he proposes that police officers record every search and stop, even with or without the consent of people, to ensure that we have safe searches and stops for everyone. And according to Yan at CNN.com 2018, to prevent future racial profiling, we should start teaching our kids positive images of all racial groups, and encouraging diverse friendships between kids, and talking openly about race and the effects of racism. Now that I have talked about the solution, let's talk about the outcome. According to the NAACP.org 2018, if African Americans and Hispanics were incarcerated at the same rates as whites, then the jail population would reduce to about 40%. And according to Kirby at AmericanProgress.org 2012, the U.S. Sentencing Commission stated that the federal system gave black offenders 10% longer sentencings than that of white offenders for the same crime. So if we could end racial profiling, we could create a more fair justice system by giving punishments based on the crime and not the race. I hope I have informed you guys enough about racial profiling. I discussed the problems occurring with racial profiling, the solutions we can take, and the outcomes of it. Racial profiling occurs at an alarming rate in the U.S. and results in the loss of lives of colored people, and change starts with us in how we view other racial groups, and any racial profiling can reduce the rates of biased police pullovers and reduce the death rates of people of color, and we can create a more fair justice system. If you guys would like to learn more, I recommend going on the NAACP.org website. They have a lot of articles that talk about the discrimination of colored people in America. Thank you.